I'm Shelagh McFarlane from Well. And I'm in Huntsville. If you told me 2 months ago that I would be doing this, I was just, minding my own business in the summertime and licking my wounds from running for mayor last fall against Cam Guthrie, who is the global covenant of mayors, head kahuna or whatever. He's like the big global mayor of the world with the shiny name tag. So yeah, I was very not disillusioned. I mean, I expected what I got last fall, but sort of had given up, disappointed, and talking earlier about how Canadians kind of just aren't seeming to get it. But then this summer started witnessing some deputations. Maggie Braun was the first one I saw out of Peterborough, and what she had done is she had pulled some information about the United Nations Agenda 21 that had been on my mayor's site, and she kind of formulated a delegation saying, what's going on, guys, and it kind of went viral because people connected to the message at that time. And then up in Kawartha Lakes, they are really fighting a major bylaw rezoning consolidation thing of 14,000. And they were going to just totally eliminate any food processing ability up there, any land severing a bit. I mean, we've seen this agenda and it's getting harder and harder to coming down on us. So people ask me what my background is. I've got a mishmash of everything, man, but I started off actually at Western Ontario, going to go into law school. My father told me that I'd make a good lawyer because I was always arguing. If somebody said it was black, I'd say it was white, and well, this world never made sense to me as a little kid, but then found out that law school was like legal school, like just going and learning about like what other lawyers have done and the precedents and the case studies, and then charging people a lot of money to basically push a piece of. Well, I shouldn't say anyway. So I didn't go to law school, but. I ended up, kind of getting into the work field. I met Guy actually in Toronto, and that was in the early 90s when there was a lot of jobs and learning abilities, and I managed to work in one office with lawyers at the time. It was called the Canadian Legal Information Centre. We had an offshoot of the Community Legal Education of Ontario, as well as a Plain Language Associates, and it was a group that we looked at long legal documents and boiled them down to very simple wording and simple application forms that people could understand, immigrants, English as a second language, or people that were financially challenged. And that's when I learned legalese, which is your foreign language that lawyers speak.
Yeah, right.
And that's when lawyers explained to me the power of your signature, that the value is behind the signature, the power of status, and the power of status conversion, that they can just flip a conversion on paper. And the power of in contract law of full disclosure, they're in consideration. So I learned a lot of things of what to look out for. And one of the things with the POG is I made clear to people at the very start is all of this takeover of everything, whether it be a public-private partnership or your lawyer representing you for a divorce, all of this is just based on misinterpretation of words. This whole local agenda was people don't understand what the word municipality means. It's a big word, nobody knows what it means. And if you've read the POG, that's where they caught us, and that's where they got your mayor and councillors, is your mayors and councillors signed stuff saying they were speaking on behalf of the municipality, and they didn't know what it meant.
Oops. What does it mean?
Oops. So yeah, no. So but boom, there's non-disclosure, and there's no meeting of minds, and there's so the fraud that I exposed it percolates into everything. So I wrote it very simply. When I came up to Kawartha Lakes, I realized that a lot of people aren't up to snuff on how this agenda got into our city halls, who these CAOs were, why our mayors are only one vote at the table. I even realized people don't know the difference between de facto and de jure law and what is government. So I kind of just parked it for a couple of weeks, met Steve actually up there, and wrote just as digested as I could, one starting of the truckers' convoy, which exposed the fact that Canada has de facto possession of our governing powers. That was the sting operation. We knew, but we didn't have the proof that we were captured. So I start off in the POG with the trucker convoy outline of how they did that. They called the federal government to the table to show science. No federal government representative came, so captured. They called the provincial level to another emergency meeting, show us the science. No provincial representative came, so captured. And that's when the whole War Measures Act and the whole turnover, and we witnessed, I don't know if any of you attended in Ottawa, but the energy went from just phenomenal Canadian hugging and, it was just, we were amazing. And that was my Canada. I was, to boom, February 14, it was around where it was just like, who are these boots on the ground? Who are these horses? They don't want to speak in English. But so I start off with that convoy basically to show that if we're under de facto possession, and if you're under de facto possession, you have a duty to disobey. You really have a duty to stop and not to feed. You're feeding the enemy, okay? And a lot of you, if you know the whole banking system and the whole fiat currency, is when we're paying taxes, we're actually creating more and more problems for ourselves, because our taxes are at every level, local, provincial, or we're paying to offset the debt, and then we're re-borrowing again for infrastructure, and it's just a perpetual circle. So we've gone from Canada owing a couple of billion, having built all our infrastructure, etc., to what are we, $1 trillion, $2 trillion now in debt, and it's just phenomenal. So, the POG just quickly goes through from when Canada signed on in 1992. It ceased to operate legally and lawfully as a nation, as a sovereign nation. And we have had representatives like Mulroney and Harper and Trudeau all be on recording saying, I know this is a loss of national sovereignty, but we're in a global economy. And well, no, you can't sell a country's sovereignty. So, but basically they converted to a corporate system. It's a corporate veil system, these public-private partnerships that are operating like government. They look like government, they spend like government, they borrow like government, but they're not government. So you've got these at all three levels. And the most dangerous one is happening right in your town, in your city hall, because that's the pen that does the destruction in this global to local download. They've given your mayor, the global mayors, all of the power. They're taking United Nations orders, thinking they're government orders. So I quickly go through, I've got some excerpts of the original document of the Agenda 21 that the United Nations needed a global problem to take over all the nations and set up this structure. So I go through the restructuring of the provincial level became a sub-national member state, and then they were ordered to set up the municipalities. And your municipalities are just basically franchises. They're categorized as provincial entities as part of that. And then I go through the couple of documents that came down the pike. Once that was signed in 92, there were several, but the main ones were in 94. There was a municipal primer on the environmental stuff, outlining, hey guys, we're all going green. I know you don't know what to do, so we're gonna tag along some non non-government organizations to explain this whole green technology and to help you and your area become sustainably developed and, you know, do it for the greater good. And the documents are very interesting. I really highly recommend that you read them, because you'll recognize the language in them that they were using back 30 years ago is still showing up in your strategic action plans. Carbon copies almost, it's stakeholders, it's, you know, it's buzzwords, and start to actually look for legalese buzzwords, which are words that mean multiple things. These documents were very revealing, and I was very fortunate to get them back in about 2005. I ran across them and went, whoa. And then since then have been trying at the local level to catch this, because I figured that was where it was happening and that was where it was going to stop. I tried in 2014 in the councillor position running in Kincardine, but that was mainly, I knew the electoral process was flawed, but it was a public information event that I did. One, they were cramming these wind turbines down to the farmers. Two, they were pulling all the wells from private properties to put on this. Three, they were bringing in natural gas infrastructure that meant everybody had to retrofit there. I mean, it was just tragic. But we're all witnessing what, you know, what they just encroach. So, but obviously, like, I come to the table with the solution. Okay, this is the wonderful thing about this whole nightmare is that it was done in using just basic contract law. Although they look like public-private partnerships, registered corporations, it really boils down to a contract, an agreement that your mayor makes at the local level, your premier makes at the provincial level. So the most important thing that I explain in this is the Municipal Act is. This is where they basically, when you elect your mayor and your councillors, you're really electing them to be public local guardians or trustees to kind of watch, protect your area, have that, both protect you and to service your property. They only govern the public end of it. They're not to legislate or control any of the private property. That's what for you to decide. And I'm hearing all kinds of nightmares of, you know, not being able to cut off branches and all. I mean, it's just ludicrous. And it's time to stand up, people. It's really time. Yeah. You know, it's time just to, like, no more, okay? So, like I say, this POG primer was exposing the fraud. This is the key to ending it. Okay, this is the key to taking back your towns and taking back control of your local money. But it requires you to people to stand up though too. Government is not something that's kind of formed over here and then dropped in and telling you what to do. It's you elect your councillors to represent that ward area. You come to your wards in a town hall setting with your ward councillor to say, hey, this is what we want. Your ward councillors are supposed to go and get together in a public council and say, hey, this is what we want. That's supposed to go to the mayor, who's the chief executive, and all that structure's been usurped and removed from us, that public component. Okay, so this is a republicing, and I guess what people are connecting to is the word unincorporating, because in 1992 that amalgamation and that regionalization, that was just a fancy word of saying they incorporated us. Okay, you are deemed an incorporated inhabitant of the municipality. Okay. Now the word municipality, though, they describe or define multiple ways in the Municipal Act. A lot of people think it means a geographical area. Oh, I live in the municipality of Guelph, I live in the municipality of Huntsville. No, that's where we get trapped. Your mayor is, as a public trustee, he has geographical jurisdiction publicly. But there's been a conversion into almost like a service jurisdiction. By what they do is they define the municipality as a qualified geographical area, but then also as a municipal corporation, also as a provincial entity, also as a natural person, and this is all within that municipal act. So again, those weasel words. The reason why I ran for mayor is I knew that there was some way that they were removing the public offices. They were not invoking the office of the mayor, and that's where your voice resides. That's where your property resides. And so when I ran for mayor, I knew that in order for a public trustee to be properly sworn under a public oath, it has to be offered. When you've got these city municipalities though that are running these elections, they don't work for you. The CAO and the clerk and the solicitor are hired from somewhere else. It might look like the councillors are choosing the CAO. The strong mayor powers might look like the mayor's able to hire and fire the CAO, but it's not. It's a fudge. These CAOs and clerks are brought into your town. They're bringing that global agenda in, and their main goal, these city municipalities, their main goal is to make sure the public office is not invoked, that your elected trustees are immediately privatized, and they become employees of that city corporation under that municipal act, under the United Nations Charter, and then from there, once they're privatized, they can be made into an international agent, okay? And so really your mayor, and what the fraud exposes is that your mayor and your councillors are all sitting potentially in 3 uniquely different jurisdictions. You think you've elected them, and they think they're sitting in a public government trustee servant position with authority on the land, but really they've been privatized and internationalized, and they're sitting and signing with one signature. They're signing over public assets in a public capacity to a private non-government organization city that can then throw it into an international jurisdiction and implement a global agenda. I mean, this is how, when you trace it back, and then you can get all those tentacles of all the other NGOs in there, the ICLES, which is the International Council coming in, and then you've got all these smart things coming in, and you've got all these companies coming in that are monitoring and controlling and restricting, and then you've got, and people now, it's wonderful that they're seeing these 17 sustainable goals. We saw what COVID was. COVID was sustainable goal number 3. And everyone's aware of the 17 goals of the global agenda. Number 3 is health and well-being for all, right? Everyone's going to be healthy and free health care, right? Well, look how it translated on the ground. You get one health care. You get one protocol in the hospital, ventilator or smear or whatever the other stuff. You get one injection across the board. And if you don't take our health and well-being for all, you don't work, you don't eat, you can't see grandma. I mean, this is Canada. We have the immunization acts. We don't mass vaccinate. We don't mass medicate at all. And to me, I was just blown away on how my mayor, Cam Guthrie, was getting on social media, Facebook and stuff, saying, come on, Guelph, we're 90% vaccinated, keep going, you know? And I'm going, what the hell is the mayor doing, telling me what pharmaceutical products, like, and he was setting up clinics downtown, that people were going having a hamburger downtown. He was setting up these clinics to go while people were eating. Oh, do you want your shot? You know, we're here. Like, how is that tied into your municipal local agenda? So now we're seeing, we never actually got to, number 1, invoke our public office. We never got to swear in our public trustees. We never got to set a local action plan. We never got to set a local agenda in issues. And we never get to set up our own treasury locally where our own money gets pooled in. And this happened once upon a time, okay? People ask me, well, when did this all... We don't know. Okay? There's been so many bankruptcies, the structure of these corporations, who knows? Where I'm coming from is that it's fraud dissolves everything. It takes it all down to zero. You don't go to the city, municipality and say, well, I know that, he's sitting in fraud and I know you have no authority or no right, but let's just see, maybe if we took it back to 67 or we took it back to 1850, maybe. No, it zeroes everything out. This is the beauty of it. You can start now and set your local action plan, your local agendas, and you can start to set, this is coming down the pike, okay? I know this is a little premature, but we don't have time, man. I'm not waiting, but you're gonna have the ability to establish that treasury, control that money. Right now, all your taxes are going into those non-government organizations. They're United Nations entities, right? They're controlling your money. Not only that, but then they're paying the salaries of your elected officials. So we're witnessing now with Lisa Robinson, one of the counselors, that if she doesn't do what she's told, they took 30 days off her pay.
Yeah.
And the other counselors on her team, who, they're supposed to be, hey guys, we're on the same side, they voted to can her pay. And then they did another 2 months or 3 months?
3 months now.
3 months now, because she's standing speaking for you.
Yeah.
This is how dangerous and how restrictive that public voice is. So now, she's further, anyway, we've got to help these councilors and mayors, because these are people too.
We do.
Okay, these are people stuck. I know my mayor, Cam. He goes to church and his wife sings in the choir and all this, and I'm prepared in the next few weeks. Right now I'm concentrating on the world because you guys have a little bit closer connection, but we're going to be coming at them saying, hey guys, you got a door number 1 or door number 2 right now.
Yeah.
Okay? You've been caught sitting in 3, like I said in my deputation, you've been caught in 3 different legal capacities, and you might not know it. And you can't accuse them of fraud or treason or sedition or liability or corruption. You can't accuse them of anything right now until you pog them and you say flat out, this is what we think you're involved in. Can you maybe go and talk to a lawyer or something and double check? And believe me, I've heard back from one really brilliant lawyer out in Vancouver who's retired, and it's you can't negate it. It's it's fun. I mean, it's beautiful how they expose their hands, and like I say, this is key now for us to get going. I forget where I was going, but I'm getting more into the restoration part of it. Druthers was really wonderful this month. They printed a quick and dirty article that I did about the public-private partnerships, explaining how they are set up and where we're going. The restoration process now that's coming up, is we are going to be saying to the mayors and councilors is, hey, we can help you. We can help you pull out. You've got to republic locally that office, and to republic they get back onto a public sworn oath that to act in that public trustee capacity again. And once you separate that public institution, they then have authority over that municipal corporation. All right? They have, right now they're immersed in it and being told what to do. So once you public them, they oversee this. I envision what will happen, because they also, once they public, they also remove the trust accounts and the money that are from this. I believe that the corporation goes bankrupt. There's a lot of money being wasted. I mean, has anybody seen the sunshine list of all the salaries there that are just oodles and oodles? So I believe they go bankrupt, but this is what we're kind of working out. And then what will happen is that your town will once again buy that corporation, whatever, for $1 and republic the corporation. Because both both your trustees and your corporation, your money needs to be public. Right? So and that's how it was once upon a time. The villages, they got together and pooled their resources for whatever. We're going back to that and start to peel out these leeches. So it starts at offering the existing mayors and councillors redemption. They can waive any liability that they've been involved in for force injection or any of the land seizures, because I mean they are facing huge liability for the damage that they've done. But if they want to stay and do the transition, then they are offered lawful redemption. The private status is revoked and their public status is invoked, and then we work on setting up the municipal registry, which will be that umbrella for the public assets for your land. This is all being kind of worked out and stuff, so it's an exciting time. There's also the judicial end of it, where the bylaw officers, the municipal officers, and then eventually the provincial, the Ontario, and the RCMPs. I don't know. I'm not dealing with that one, but they will all have to be resworn in as true peace officers that are able to address harm. Right? With the bylaw officers that are just coming to your property or looking for money and ka-ching, they're not there. They're causing harm, right? And when we set up the municipal court systems that are independent court systems of equity with you, much like your small claims now, where you're able to go man to man and not only just look at the situation, but look at the law, look at the bylaw, and address everything where you truly have that public input and public governing structure that was once there. You direct your ward councillor. They don't direct you. I'd like to see town halls in areas that are huge buildings, or your ward councillor has an office there Monday to Friday, maybe even whatever, and you can go and sit down and talk. There's a meeting there. There's monthly town hall meetings, much like this. You don't have to whatever. There's all kinds of things that we can do once. And I envision a real return to natural law, because this is we've been in an extremely corrupt criminal system and usurpation. So from there, what happens is we'll begin that's the initial unincorporation of things that have been fraudulently incorporated, and then we will start to unincorporate the rest and start to look at the city bylaws from where they exist from, and review all the municipal service agreements that are in place, terminate any of the public-private partnerships. The school boards will have to be looked at, because they are also public-private partnerships. Your local agenda will include an education component. It will include health. Your local agenda can include anything that is an issue locally. I'd like to see education, the learning pods that I've witnessed just going around, Kawartha with Natalie and Angel, of what the kids are learning on the ground in these, public school system. We can have a public school system where public just means it's funded by public, but the input is that's where we really lost a lot of footing. Is our education system was usurped, our kids were usurped, and so yeah, we kind of lost the ability to critically think. I was shocked when people were following arrows and stickers in the grocery store, and I'm going, it wasn't making any sense. So there's a re-education process that has to happen too, but we don't have time right now to educate and then correct, okay? And my thought was, when I saw that COVID over those last 3 years, it's like, these guys being business, we need almost a benevolent dictator in every freaking town that will grab that pen. And what I'm suggesting is, anybody that ran for mayor or councillor in a previous election, get ready, baby, because you could actually step into power. If the existing mayor or councillor are sitting in fraud, which they are, they're under a false oath, and they refuse to leave or flip, and I don't think they can, but if they not, we're gonna have a process where the ones that ran, because I know there's a lot of good people that ran that didn't get in, boom, in they go, and then once you public that institution, your councillors and your mayor, and they're transparent, we can start the forensic audits. We can open up the books. All right, so now you've controlled your pen. Okay, if the mayor and councillors walk away from that council chambers, nothing can go forward. The CAO thinks he can push things forward, but he always needs the mayor, and that's what we proved in the emergency orders in COVID, is all they needed to do, and this was I think the last, page 21 of the POG, is all they needed to do is the United Nations sent around this emergency declaration form, and I think they even screwed it up because they printed emergency declaration form. Well, I used to be a forms designer, and I think they forgot to take the word form off the template. But this was sent to every municipality, the city, and it basically says, it's obnoxious when you read it. In hindsight, after the COVID was made to sound like this pandemic and everybody was going to die, well, this was the emergency order that came down. The head of council of a municipality may declare that an emergency exists in the municipality or in any part thereof, and may take such action and make such orders as he considers necessary. Like, it's all may, and then therefore I hereby declare that an emergency may exist within the boundaries of the jurisdiction of the city. So if you understand legalese, what they did here was fluff. But the worst part is, what they did is they got your mayor, they fudged the signature lines, and your mayor, if he didn't know what's going on, he was duped. He was really duped. If you knew what was going on, then you got to expose him, right? Because there are some dirty mayors, and I honestly believe Tory in Toronto, he kind of like disappeared on a sex scandal, a sex scandal, which is, like it was either going to be a whatever, but yeah, I think he realized he was done, and Ford will be the same thing. They had some dirty deals. Some of them are compromised, whatever, but what they do is they had the one mayor who's sitting in those 3 jurisdictions. He's got to pick one. Like, you can't have your mayor sitting in wearing 3 different hats, okay? But they had him signing as the public mayor, meaning he had geographical authority over you and your house and all that. And then they had him sign as the CEO of that city municipality, which is the service jurisdiction. And then they had him sign as the head of council, and that's the title for the United Nations Public-Private Partnership. Okay? That head of council is not a de jure government title. That's your United Nations officer agent title. HOC, hawk, I call it. He's a hawk. So when they say strong mayor powers, no, they have no authority over a mayor. Look in strong mayor power of the bill. It only has the word mayor in the title. It will talk about head of council. And that was my beef when I went looking for my oath, and the solicitor was sending me to the Municipal Act, and I said, you can't send me there because the word mayor isn't in it. The city, the non-government organization would not have authority over your trustee unless they agree, and they do. So now what's happening is people are going, okay, guys, what are you? Are you public, private, international? Let's sit down and talk, okay? Because you want to work with them, and they want to work with you. Yeah. If they flip this over, they go from global zeros to local heroes like that, and put Canada on the map again. Oh, I like, if I was a mayor, man, I'd be chomping at the bit. Okay, well, sign me up, where do I go? And the first one that does it is going to set that domino. We've got the Havelock mayor that's like, you know, all of them are kind of like, we're going to get in trouble because this is brand new. Like this is a truly publicing, a true public input, because we've always been under that legal realm, that legal fiction, that child of the province, that word of the state, and we always were being body corporates, right? Somehow incorporated into the ability of not being men and women or having a say. And we better say it now, man, because the kids are dependent on us. So what I'm telling the people is get this POG, get it to your mayors and councillors. Some of them are meeting with them just one-on-one, you know, if they have that kind of rapport. Some of them are doing it in a deputation and a delegation. I did it personally in Kawartha because they were under the gun. And I just wanted to go in there quick and dirty in 3 minutes and give them, if you see my deputation, it was just like, hey guys, this is who I am. I know what you're doing. I was calling out the CAO as far as being, you're the international agent here and you don't belong here. And I'm taking these guys back from you, so watch out. Like that's what I was kind of doing in these 3 minutes. And then, so yeah, my deputation was, one, a notice to admit jurisdiction. Hey guys, are you public, private, or international in here? Because it's looking like you're holding public consent, but I don't think you are, because these guys behind me are saying they've never even heard about what you're doing here. So, and then it was a revocation of consent, revocation of presumed consent, where I said, you know, their public and private property are not in this bylaw zoning service agreement, so that was revoking any assumed consent that they're part of that corporation, and it was a cease and desist, like, we got a problem here, there's a potential foreign coup d'etat, de facto possession, you gotta stop what you're doing, because that pen that you're signing with has no public ink behind it. You're, you know, and then it was a way I could do it on a public record, for the public, the private, and the international jurisdiction all in one go. So I could talk to the mayor as a public trustee, as a private CEO, or as that United Nations officer, boom, all at once. And I didn't have to, so that's why I did it in the deputation. But other people are doing it other ways. And then there are also groups that are forming, getting into that solution focus, the solution of we're going to need some really, really good people on the ground that can either mentor with their existing counselors. Like I say, we got some forensic audits and we got a lot of people hurting. We got to get some people housed and we got to get some help. And you can do that all with your treasury money immediately. Okay, it's not tied to the central banking system. It's beautiful how simple this is. I'm getting a lot of blank faces because it's so new, but it's public law is very simple because it's transparent and it's accountable and it's not being done behind closed doors with big energy companies and big pharmaceutical companies. So a little bit of a learning curve, but right now you're going to be getting your local level of government back. And what do you want that to be? Right? The money, how we're working kind of the registry is that people will be able to kind of have projects that they want done and money will be available for it. And I'm seeing some amazing things coming down the pike. And once the separation of the non-government, and I really believe this is the time to do it because I don't think they have any money behind them. I think the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the world, all of that, the whole bankruptcy, the whole currency reset, and I think that we've also passed the 100th monkey where people now know. And now we just have to get that, there's two components. One, you have to have the right attitude, but two, you gotta have the right action. So now we're trying to get the action part. Like who's coming to the surface now? Who wants to stand up and restore Canada and set the template. Because Canada is partly responsible for Agenda 21. Maurice Strong was Canadian. He was the oil for food guy, right? And he was the, let's save Gaia and let's bankrupt, industrial nations are bad and we've got to balance it all out and give to the poor and yeah, so Canada really, we need to do this, yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I'm at now. There's also a new voting system coming in because we're all witnessed how disgusting the voting systems are. I don't know what that entails, but I know that definitely it can't be what it was, where there's extreme foreign interference and control and money control. And so yeah, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'll take questions or. I knew this was a big province, but man, in the last couple of weeks, I'm realizing, yeah, it's, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to get some videos made up, hopefully at Druthers, where it'll be kind of like the education part of it, but also the restoration part of it is being put into place. So it's also coming together, like with there's grand juries coming in, and but I'm really hoping to see some lawyers and paralegals come to the front too, and they really I'm sorry, but
do lawyers know all what you said, like about legalese and lawful and stuff?
Of course they do. Of course they make a business.
Like, when they're doing like divorce and child support and all that, they probably don't need to know the implications.
Well, I can't speak for lawyers, but they're third-party interlopers, are they not?
Yeah. Like when it comes to this agenda.
Oh, for the global agenda.
Yeah. I'm just saying a normal lawyer doesn't need to know all this legalese stuff, I'm guessing, but they do need to know it for this corporation takeover, because that's where we're in trouble.
Well, lawyer will know incorporation and uncorporation. Is that what? Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I don't know any lawyers unfortunately, but if we did know lawyers, would they be good to present this?
Yes, yeah.
And the other thing I want to say is I believe that a lot of municipal councillors don't know, or they're unaware, or if they were aware, they would and they're all puppets, right? They're all doing what they told, they want to make a paycheck. But I think sometimes I've gone to a couple of meetings, council meetings, and some of them look like they want to help us, but cannot.
Yeah.
So I like the way you're talking.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put this way, by the way.
Yeah.
And I like the way you're talking, because I think a lot of them would want to keep their jobs and go back to public and get out of the corporation.
Yeah.
Maybe the mayors all need to be fired and put in jail or whatever, I don't know. But I think there's a lot of, even teachers and doctors that didn't want to get vaccinated, or there's so many of them that had to quit and would go back if they had a job that was integrity and moral and it's just that there's.
And we've had a couple of them say, please, keep going.
And I met a teacher that, and because I was doing a march in local Newmarket, and she pulled her car over because we were doing the kid march, and she said, the stuff that's going on in the school is disgusting. And she said, but I can't say anything. And she said, my two friend teachers, we cannot say a thing. And I said, well, give me your email, or I gave her my email, but she hasn't written to me. But she's scared, they're scared, and they're disgusted.
Well, there was a chap, I was at, where was it last night? Bowmanville, and there was a chap there explaining how they're only one vote at the table, and the board of director of the school seems to be controlling. Same system as we've got, right? The board, when you elect that school board of trustees, that's a board of trustees, not a board of employees of the, so they've done the whole public-private partnership at the school level too. Like these monsters are everywhere. You know, they partner, right? But again, it's easy split, right? So they will be doing something. But yeah, those public school board positions those are trustee positions too, and they should be answering. But as you see, as they're answering to that director, and that's a top-down curriculum, which is the sustainable development, the transgender, the SOGI, the whole, you know, take away parental rights, and which was the agenda, is destroy the nuclear family. The state steps in, you know, the Napoleon takes over, the dogs and then the depop down to what, 500 million.
There can't be a lot of normal human beings in there saying, oh yeah, this is great, like, I love what we're doing to these kids.
There's a lot that are trapped, but there seem to be a lot that are kind of woke, that are kind of like really buying into this, and that's again why it's very important to kind of do it this way, is to have one position, the mayor and the council position, extract everybody, whether they're smart or not. Because you try to take the time to wake woke people up, forget it. Ain't gonna happen. You're just like, and meanwhile they're taking everything, you know, like, no. So there are some woke counselors that are sitting there. We experienced it in Kawartha where Jean Balfour went in on a climate change narrative kind of thing, and one counselor was like, no, that's green, you know, and totally, you can't do anything about that. That's fine. I don't even want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is that you don't have my consent to decide this, so I'm pulling that out. You can talk about your climate change over here, but I'm pulling it out. And climate change shouldn't even be in your local agenda. It's an international issue. Like, you locally can't do anything about climate change. That's that treaty, right? So that shouldn't even be in the council. And that's another indication that you're in international jurisdiction when you're in those chambers, is because they're only talking about the 17 goals. They'll talk maybe a cat shelter or something like that, but it'll still be encompassed in those goals. So get out of international jurisdiction, or you're going down that road. How are you going to get out of international jurisdiction? You got to pull your money. How are you going to do that? Either individually or as a group. As a group, we've tried it. Individually, we've tried it. So the only system, and I'm not the only one that believes this. We had some pretty brilliant people who've been running for mayor, knowing that that's the key piece, because historically, that mayor can and is defined however you want him to be, as that head apex position in your local area, but he does what you dictate. He does your will, your wishes. You don't go to him and say, okay, what are we doing today? You create that, and we've all gotten lazy and kind of confused about what government is. They just government holds the consent of the governed. It's not that government where people think it's a gouvernement, meaning to control the mind. No. It's holding that your consent of that trustee, and you're the beneficiary, the steward. So pull him out of that international, pull him out of that private setting. How are you going to republic him? Put him under an oath. That's to the men and women on the land, that in that law, that ability to address harm and injury, but a trustee that holds and protects the commercial entity attached to you, which is your legal fiction person, your ability to do public business, but it leaves you free as a private man to do your private contracting. Right now, we're all just, and maybe that's getting over people's heads, but now we're just corporations based on the legal fiction, right? So now we're going to men and women, but also able to operate as a legal fiction, but not as a customer of your governments. You are you are your government, right? So I think I got off on a tangent there. When people's eyes glaze over, I got like just filing cabinets up here from years, and I kind of go, well, which one am I going in now? Yeah.
So the one woman asked, you know, how many towns can you visit? So, you know, I'm going to do my delegation in Perry Sound,
Yes.
and you're going to help me a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously Sheila can't be everywhere. With winter we really want to empower people.
Yeah.
And you know, I live in Perry Sound, and then Peterborough has how many different, you know, municipalities? I don't know if that's...
And as every one of these are being done, they're being spread, and we're setting templates, you know, so that's the advantage of social media like Creston, BC just did one, viral, right? Downloads the template, downloads his PowerPoint, you know, Peterborough does one, download, spread it, so we will all be learning, and because the beauty of the global government is they cookie cutted everything, and everybody did the same, so we can also undo it all the same too, and not one area has to reinvent the wheel, like we can, so yeah, this is how it will be happening, so yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but it's great though that we're evolving too. I imagine where we were when Maggie started this in Peterborough, and how far we've come along.
Yeah.
Hamilton had a great
Lancaster
delegation.
just did one, yeah.
Aurora.
Yeah,
You know,
Aurora
and,
Newmarket's getting ready,
David-
Uxbridge is getting ready.
Yeah, David did one.
Port Perry's getting ready, Perry Sounds.
What do you know about Newmarket?
I was just there with, had a meeting actually at Lisa Robinson's and Jeanette's, and they're pulling today, they are just getting the POG primer and the cover letter delivered to their mayor and councillors.
Would you know the people? that-
Yeah, I know contacts in Newmarket if you want.
Can I get them from you?
Yeah, I'll talk to you after, yeah, for sure. Are you in Newmarket?
I live in Newmarket.
Oh, they're organizing big
I
time.
haven't met anybody.
Oh, you gotta get connected, these
And I'm
guys are
trying-
nuts.
I'm trying so hard.
Yeah, no, there's some really wicked women bulldogs, but not in an aggressive way, just like in a real, let's solve this, and let's like you say, it is a very approachable, solution to your mayors and council. Come on, guys, let's end this, right? So.
Doesn't Lisa live in Whitby or Pickering?
She's in Pickering, I think, yeah. So it was, I think, I'll let you know
If you do know somebody, please.
Yeah.
I will help them and.
Yeah, the Aurora, well, they're all kind of going all together though too, because the same ideas, they're all like.
I know, I went to Aurora and I went to East Gwillimbury, but
Yeah.
I don't know anybody in Newmarket, so I'm.
Yeah, I'll connect you.
But thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely. Hello, yes, Sky.
Is there any jurisdiction where what you've described has actually been accomplished? 'Cause so far you're just talking about the theory of how it could be done. Do we have an example yet?
Not
What about
locally
Peterborough?
municipality wise, but we have had areas similar to what Iceland did, right? Where they got rid of and then republicked and then put their their representatives under that true oath. But not in Canada, no. I mean, we really haven't had a public forum per se, and especially post 1974 when we lost the bank, right? So, yeah.
There were people, a little bit off topic, but there were people in Ottawa just a couple of weeks ago who tried to go into the House of Commons, I guess, and they wouldn't even allow them in.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that legal? Like when they weren't doing anything wrong?
Well, you see, we're under international law, like we're actually under the United Nations Charter, like so, it doesn't mean that we don't have like constitutional law, but that's what is being recognized right now. So, and the other thing too is that we're under the central banking system, so that's a big, huge control of everything as well. So the only way to truly get public is to remove your money from the central banking system, right? So has anybody truly done that? Yeah, through foundations and charities, and the Bill and Melinda Gates pulls theirs out. That's similar to what we're going to be doing. Is co-ops do it? They set up that separate. But yeah, as long as you're still in that central banking system, how could you be public? You know what I mean?
And one other quick question.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Bill of Rights versus the Charter? pay any attention to that?
Again, those are commercial statutes, yeah, and I know there's discussion, but the beauty, where I'm coming from, I stick strictly with the local level, and the local level is not constitutionally defined. And it's not, certainly not a monarch, so we're certainly not crown, so we're certainly not under crown legislation, so the Bill of Rights and this charter are crown legislation, are they not? So the only time that we're kind of mentioned is when they say municipal in it, and I've done a search, but when they use the word municipal, they're talking about municipal services, i.e. the adjective municipal, not municipal as the noun or the government structure. So no, we weren't defined, we were always kind of like, a provincial entity, but still a sovereign provincial entity. That office of the mayor still had his seal and crest and the official office, but that ability to control that money in that separate treasury, and even at the federal level, that Revenue Canada got privatized. So.
But just so you know, Rebecca, do you know Stanford Lee? She always says use the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, I've got them
not
all
the
over
other
my
one.
vehicles.
Yeah, if you're talking about a provincial, yeah,
Yeah.
provincial or the federal level, for sure, and that's what Stanford E does, and I don't get into that debate. And again, it boils down to the whole person thing too. So, and personally, when you start talking about pieces of paper and legislation, I think that's a lawyer's way of having us all fight. So the beauty of my situation is we don't have to figure out which is the legitimate piece of paper, because we're making the legitimate piece of paper. You know, back in 1992, the documents came down saying, you know, you guys can set a local agenda, or you can take our strategic agenda plan and do what we're doing. And then the templates came down in 92, and the mayors and councils just figured, well, this is easy, I guess we just do this, right? So we have the ability to set that local agenda, but right now, to refer to a bill or an existing, no.
I think so.
Yeah, you know, if anything, it would be the original sheriff's, the original justice of the peace that would be under that trust law or that common law or that realm, as opposed to the legal realm, which is the fictional corporate. Yeah.
Okay, so like I agree with what you've said, but we have a completely corrupt judiciary,
Yes.
completely corrupt political system.
Yes.
You know, you are you. I try to put myself, if I'm just an ordinary person in the public that doesn't have a deep background in this, I could, like, why am I going to believe you, and what is the catalyst going to be that's going to make this happen, as opposed to these corrupt towns and cities just ignoring us, ignoring you, saying, who the heck are you? I'm not saying that because I think that, but I'm just saying, like, you know, the average person in the public has no idea of this. So what is the catalyst for making this happen with organizations that are corrupt? Do you have any insight into what is going to make this successful? Yeah.
Education. I think.
We'll let her answer.
Yeah. Money talks, okay? So you say to your mayor, you know, if he wants to stay on that global agenda, is that what you're talking about? He doesn't want to be public? Is that what you're...
Well, they might just choose to ignore you.
Choose to ignore you. This is a chess game, okay? This is a push the pawn there. They gotta come back. We're gonna ignore you. So no answer is an answer, right? And that's where we are with Coartha. They can't answer you. So then this is where we would start to pull the money, okay? Because, like I said at the very start, you are not obligated to participate in fraud, and you have a duty to disobey de facto possession.
So how do you pull the money?
This is where we will start to, in the works, okay? Your property taxes, any of the bills, like if you notice on the chart that outlines it, a non-government organization or the public-private partnership have no authority or ability to tax you or to charge you anything, okay? So what we would do then, if your mayor refuses, then your property taxes and all of those city charges that you're no longer responsible for as a customer would somehow, and this is what we're working on, get sent, redirected, or back to that mayor that's supposed to be in fiduciary authority, back to, because your property taxes should be coming or going into the treasury, and your service charges should be coming out of the treasury. So we're going to start to divert through a petitionary setup, because a petition is a bill of exchange, which is just basically getting signatures and of people saying we're going to disengage from this, we're unincorporating. So we start to pull it with money, okay? Because that's the only thing, the reason why these things are existing.